Hi everyone, my name is Rishit. Today is the 4th of August 2024. I'll be going over my weekly prediction for Tesla. As usual, I'll be going over the monthly, weekly, and finally the daily charts, and then I'll switch over to the Excel sheet where we'll review last week's prediction and go over this one in more detail. But before getting into this video, it's important to make the disclaimer that all information here is completely educational, and therefore it is important to conduct your own analysis, whatever analysis that may be, to ensure that you're comfortable with the risk, reward, and trading style, since you may not be with mine. This video is an educational video and it's a log with rationale. It is not a trading guide of any sort, so please use this video as it's intended. So, monthly charts we can see has been quite rickety for Tesla. I mean, we've practically gone down here and then gone up, and we're kind of going sideways again. It's been very, very uneventful and eventful at the same time for Tesla, because a lot of these are driven by news events. RSI has practically flatlined. The average definitely has flatlined. ADX is going down heavily because we're in a very sideways kind of price action for the last year almost for Tesla, and so it's very uneventful in price action terms. However, if you look in the intermediate term or short term, these kind of events, if you break it down into weekly charts, they were quite profitable. And speaking of, let's move to the weekly charts, since we don't really glean much from the monthly charts either way. We had this breakout of this long-standing kind of sideways pattern for around a month and a half, huge breakout upwards. And then we had the very high wave candle breakout below that. I predicted this and I called it. Tesla went down heavily. However, this week we actually ended up having a buy signal, because although it went down quite heavily, we did have the Fed interest rate meeting, and I did make a discretionary call to go long on that, although that technically wasn't part of the initial planning from last week, but that was a call that I made. As you can see, volume is back up to being high, or average at least at this time, and we're on high volume for all three candles. So this clearly shows that either there's been a very strong sell-off for Tesla, which is kind of happening. However, there's more fundamental stuff, such as Tesla's earnings margins, profit margins, earnings, all have been pretty lackluster. So that's kind of what's driving this thing. And not just Tesla, other competitors such as Alphabet and Intel, for example, have been posting very weak results. So its competitors are also kind of, this relation between them might be driving the price down as well. RSI we can see is completely supporting this price action. ADX is pretty sideways. However, the DI plus is still above DI minus, but it is crashing down, whereas the DI minus is going up. So this may be soon to be overtook. Daily charts we see again very erroneous. We had this huge gap downwards on the 24th. We went up, and then this week we went down quite heavily. And as you can see, this was the day where we would have made that Fed interest rate decision kind of call. And here we can see that on the last day we actually broke our aforementioned sell signal from last week. But as you can see, the volume is diverging quite heavily, and you can see that this kind of correction is really weak. And that's a scary thing, because it may just mean that this kind of bounce downwards is not long-lived, and we do need to see some volume confirmation as well. Now, as I mentioned, last week we made a solid profit around $5,358.15 or 4.24%, bringing our weekly closing balance to $131,779.41. This week we'll buy when it crosses the resistance at 227.28 and sell when it falls below the support at 203, with a target of 2% and a trailing stop loss. If the target or stop loss isn't hit, then we will just close on Friday. A weekly trend right now is pretty sideways. However, we could say it's going downwards, and the monthly trend is definitely down or sideways even. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.